One. This is where we should have it in a different level. All right, so let's get back. Okay, text 40.
Namah purasta tatra prishthataste namostute sarvate eva sarvam ananta virya nitavikramasvam sarvam samapna shritatoshi sarvaha. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all-pervading, and thus you are everything. Out of great devotion, not knowing how much could ever be sufficient, Arjuna offers repeated obeisances. O everything, I offer respect to you, who are situated in the back, in the front, everywhere. You have unlimited physical strength and immeasurable mental strength, so that you are expert in applying scriptures. This indicates that others have only single powers. Some, like Bhima, have extreme physical strength, and others, like Duryodhana, have extreme intelligence for learning. Arjuna then tells the cause of Krishna being all forms. You reach everything, therefore you are everything. Vishnu Purana confirms this.
Read the translation.
O Lord, the devatas who approach you are indeed you, the creator of the universe, because you are everywhere.
That's a basic understanding. That because Krishna pervades over everything, therefore he is identified with everything. That which pervades and controls is identified with that object. As I often say, for instance, the demigod of fire pervades over fire. Therefore, the demigod of fire is referred to as fire. Even though that dravya, that substance fire, is different from the devata, the deity fire, still. You're endowed with immeasurable potency. You pervade the universe, and therefore you are everything. Out of loving ecstasy for Krishna, his friend Arjuna is offering his respects from all sides. He is accepting that he is the master of all potencies and all prowess, and far superior to all the great warriors assembled on the battle. It is said in the Vishnu Purana, Yoyam tavagato devas samipam devatagam sattvameva jagat srashtaya tas sarvagato bhavan. Whoever comes before you, even if he be a demigod, is created by you, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, 41, 42.
Maya pramadat pranayena vapi yakchava sartham asatkrito asi vihara sayyasana bhojaneshu eko athavapi vapi achyuta tat samaksam tat shama from aham aprameyam. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of my friends, of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses.
Can you read out the commentary?
41, 42. Seeing his friend Krishna with 1,000 heads, praising him and offering respects to him. Arjuna now shows suitable reverential courtesy in 2 verses. Out of friendship mixed with knowledge of him as the Lord, thinking that you, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, were only my friend, not realizing your greatness as the universal form with 1,000 heads, I would suddenly speak to you carelessly, not respectfully, or out of affection as a friend. Now I beg forgiveness for that. What would you say? I would say, O Krishna, O Yadava, O friend, the elision of words in Sakheti instead of Sakha iti is for metrical reasons. Addressing the Lord with these names shows lack of respect. Addressing Krishna without the prefix Shri is disrespectful. He should address him as Sri Krishna. Addressing him as Yadava is disrespectful because he does not announce Krishna's kingly position in that family. He should address him with such terms as best of the Yadus. Addressing him as friend is disrespectful because he treats the Lord as his equal. Moreover, while playing, resting, sitting, or eating, or joking, I have treated you disrespectfully. You are truthful and straightforward, but by suggestive words I have insulted you, either while alone or in the presence of other joking friends. Please forgive all that I have said, or the treatment I gave you, which produced offense. O Lord, in this way I entreat you, O Achyuta, who remains a friend unfailingly, even after enduring offenses committed by me. That is possible because you have inconceivable power, aprameyam.
So Lord Krishna is very kind to his most beloved devotees, especially his friends. Arjuna is the dearest amongst the Pandavas. Although Krishna is manifested before Arjuna in his universal form, Arjuna remembers his friendly relationship with Krishna and is therefore asking pardon and requesting Krishna to excuse him for the many informal gestures which arise out of friendship. He is admitting that formerly he did not know that Krishna could assume such a universal form, although Krishna explained it as his intimate friend. Arjuna did not know how many times he may have dishonored Krishna by addressing him, "Oh my friend, oh Krishna, oh Yadava," etc., without acknowledging his opulence. But Krishna is so kind and merciful that in spite of such opulence, he played with Arjuna as a friend. Such is the transcendental loving reciprocation between the devotee and the Lord. The relationship between the living entity and Krishna is fixed eternally. It cannot be forgotten, as we can see from the behavior of Arjuna. Although Arjuna has seen the opulence in the universal form, he cannot forget his friendly relationship with Krishna. It's not that he is so overwhelmed that he doesn't even remember that Krishna is his friend. The Aishwarya of Lord Krishna is such that it causes Hridkampa, which means makes your heart tremble in fear. That is how it is in Vaikuntha. When they come in front of the Lord, they're also frightened of him. This positive fear. Whereas in Dwaraka, for instance, they know about Krishna's opulence, but they're not so terrified. And in Vrindavan also, they know about Krishna's opulence, but they simply don't care. Just don't bother about it. Okay, let's continue. 43.
पितासि लोकस्य सदाचरस्य त्वमस्य पूज्यस्य गुरुर्गरीयान् न त्वं समस्ति अभ्यधिकः कुतोऽन्यो लोकत्रयेऽपि अप्रतिमा प्रभाव. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then can there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power?
Arjuna here explains Krishna's inconceivable powers mentioned at the end of the last verse. You are the father of the world and the worshipable teacher of scripture for the world. and therefore most venerable in all ways. There is no one equal to you in all the three worlds, in the whole universe, O person of incomparable power. If there is no one equal to the Supreme Lord, no second Lord, then how could there be anyone superior to you? The Shruti says, Na tat chamaschad hridascha drishyate. There is no one equal to or greater than the Lord is seen. You have unequal power in the three worlds. Okay, someone should read out Prabhupada's purport.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is worshipable as a father, is worshipable for his son. He is the spiritual master because he originally gave the Vedic instructions to Brahma, and presently he is also instructing Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Therefore, he is the original spiritual master, and any bona fide spiritual master at the present moment must be a descendant in the line of disciple succession stemming from Krishna. Without being a representative of Krishna, one cannot become a teacher or spiritual master of transcendental subject matter. The Lord is being praised, obeisances in all respects. He is of immeasurable greatness. No one can be greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, because no one is equal to or higher than Krishna within any manifestation, spiritual or material. Everyone is below him, no one can excel him. This is stated in the Svetashvara Upanishad 6.8. न तस्य कार्यं करणं च विद्यते न तत् समश्चाभ्यधिकश्च दृश्यते. Supreme Lord Krishna has senses and a body like the ordinary man, but for him there is no difference between his senses, his body, his mind, and himself. Foolish persons who do not perfectly know him say that Krishna is different from his soul, mind, heart, and everything else. Krishna is absolute, therefore his activities and potencies are supreme. It is also stated that although he does not have senses like ours, he can perform all sensory activities. Therefore, his senses are neither imperfect nor limited. No one can be greater than him, no one can be equal to him, and everyone is lower than him. The knowledge, strength, and activities of the Supreme Personality are all transcendental. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम एवं यो वेत्ति तत्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. Whoever knows Krishna's transcendental body, activities, and perfection, after quitting his body, returns to him and doesn't come back again to this miserable world. Therefore, one should know that Krishna's activities are different from others. The best policy is to follow the principles of Krishna. That will make one perfect. It is also stated that there is no one who is master of Krishna. Everyone is his servant. The Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 5.142 confirms, Ekale Ishvara Krishna are sabhritya. Only Krishna is God and everyone else is his servant. Everyone is complying with his order. There is no one who can deny his order. Everyone is acting according to his direction, being under his superintendence. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, he is the cause of all causes.
So Arjuna, he expresses his realization of all this. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. All of this is clear statement of difference. So he's no longer speaking out identity statements. Actually, this is actual reality. Text 44.
तस्मात् प्रणम्य प्रणिधाय कायं प्रसादये पावहमीशमेढ्यं पितेव पुत्रस्य सखेव सख्युः प्रियः प्रियायार्हसि देव सोढुम्. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you.
In one of the previous editions, there was something wrong with this translation. And I myself, I wrote to the VGP and I said, look, there's something wrong with this translation. Because I gave reference to Gita Gan. Prabhupada also gave a Bengali translation of Bhagavad Gita in the form of verses. I refer to that to see how Prabhupada has translated that. Actually, for the translations, Prabhupada said you can take from anyone. At one point, when the BBT editors were asking me, they were trying to match the word meanings and translation and all that. At one point, he said, just take anyone's translation, put it. The purport that matters actually. Therefore, because no one is greater than you, going down to you, touching 8 parts of my body on the earth, I beg you, worshipful Lord, you should tolerate my offenses, O Lord. Arjuna describes who can tolerate whose offense. The father tolerates the son's offenses. The friend tolerates his friend's offenses. There seems to be offense because now, seeing Krishna's great powers, Arjuna considers himself as a servant, not as a friend. So, as a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done. Krishna's devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, or one might treat Krishna as a husband, or as a friend, or as a master. Krishna and Arjuna are related in friendship. As the father tolerates, or the husband or a master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. Okay, here is Bhaktivinoda. You indeed are the Lord of the Jivas, the most worthy of service. Going down, prostrating my body, I request that you be pleased. The Jiva and you are eternally bound in relationships of friendship, parental affection, and conjugal rasa. You should mercifully accept that the Jivas, eternally your servants, treat you as an equal in their relationships. 45.
अदृष्टपर्वं दृश्यत्यस्मिन् दृष्ट्वा भयेन च प्रवीतं मनोमयं तदेव स दर्शयति रूपं प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead. O Lord of Lords, O Lord of the universe.
What are you saying? What do you want? Having seen this form of power, which I have understood factually to exist in you, I'm overjoyed. Happy that my friend has such an extraordinary form. But my mind is agitated with fear arising from seeing its ferocious nature. Therefore, I make a request. I have now witnessed that you are the Supreme Lord, the container of everything, and the controller of all the devas. Next, placing that form within yourself, since you contain everything, show me your form as Krishna, the form which I hold dear. So he is now requesting the Supreme Lord, you please show me your original form. Seeing this universal form which was not seen before, my curiosity has been satisfied. But it does not give joy to the minds and eyes of the devotees. Therefore, seeing this, my mind is disturbed with fear. O Lord of the universe, O Lord of the Devatas, show me your Sachidananda form with 4 arms. Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is a very dear friend. As a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence, Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful universal form. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus, his mind is disturbed out of fear, although he had no reason to fear. Arjuna, therefore, is asking Krishna to show his Narayana form because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Narayana. There are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and in each of them, Krishna is present by his plenary manifestations of different names. Thus, Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifest in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, the form of Narayana is 4-handed, but the 4 hands hold different arrangements of symbols: the conch shell, mace, lotus, and disc. According to the different hands, these four things are held in the Narayanas. According to the different hands, these four things are held in the Narayanas are variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his four-handed feature. So now he wants to see a Sachidananda form, but Krishna's Vilasa manifestation, Narayana form. Arjuna's friendship is actually unalloyed. See this expression, unalloyed. There is, once made this. This I got it from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Each of the five bhakti rasas has a specific quality. This is actually Madhya Leela chapter 19. You see different columns here. Krishna Tyaga means giving up thirst for bhukti or mukti. Then Krishna Nishtha, being fixed in Krishna. Sevana, active service. Mamata, the idea that Krishna is mine. Palana, I should protect Krishna. The idea that I should protect Krishna. Nijangada, to give one's own body to Krishna for pleasure. Parakya Bhav, the attitude that I'm not married to Krishna. It's only a bhav, only an attitude. It's not reality. So in Shantarasa, according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is Krishna Tyaga and Krishna Nishtha. In Dasya, Krishna Tyaga, Krishna Nishtha and Sevana. Sakhya, Krishna Tyaga, Krishna Nishtha, Sevana and Mamata. Vatsalya, all of these plus Palana. Swakiya Madhurya Rasa goes up to Nijangada. And Parakya, it goes up to Parakya Bhav. So unalloyed friendship has all of this. But imagine if you don't have Krishna Tyaga. Let's say one has a desire for bhukti, mukti. And at the same time, he considers that Krishna is mine. Then it will become an offense. All of this has to be there. If this is not there, and you have a desire to establish a personal relationship with the Supreme Personality of God, it's an offense. Madhvacharya goes on saying, the desire for some celestial woman to have Krishna as her husband is one of the greatest offenses that they commit. Because the society girls, they enjoy their, so like that they won't enjoy with Krishna also. That is an offense. So what we talk about as Prema Bhakti Rasa means all of these previous qualities are all meant to be there. So imagine somebody wants to be Krishna's wife, okay, or Krishna's girlfriend, for instance. And the other ones are missing. Any of these are missing. Then it will become an offense. So we should also carefully examine what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what the Bhagavatam is actually giving. It's presenting exactly in this manner. Otherwise, it's a great offense to say that I want Krishna as my son. Unless one is free from Bhakti Trishna, Mukti Trishna, and one is exclusively focused on Krishna, wants to actively serve Krishna, then only these other features are, you have it as a privilege, not otherwise. So Arjuna's friendship is unalloyed friendship, having all these four features.
Can you share this table with us?
Share this table. Okay. Just ask me in that thing and I should also remember.
Am I right that there are two lines of understanding of this verse? Because Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana, in his purport, he says that Arjuna wanted to see original form of Krishna, means Vibhuja, Vradhara, no, means Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada.
No, I think the next verse it comes now. Very next verse it comes. 4 arms. Baladev, look at Baladev Devotion's one comment. Also, Swakam Rupam, that verse comes now. We will see that in today's session. Swakam Rupam comes now. Text 15. Swakam Rupam, one form. There also Baladev Devotion. He presents it as 4 arm form.
But here, in the purport of Baladev Vidyabhushana, it said, show me your form as Krishna, not Narayana.
Yes, but Krishna and Dwaraka have 4 arms. We know that sometimes he plays with 2 arms, plays with 4 arms. In Dwaraka also. Just like, for instance, Rukmini Devi, when she was fanning and Krishna spoke some cruel words, and she fainted. Then immediately Krishna manifested 2 more arms. So it's just normal for him in Dwaraka. They're used to sometimes seeing Krishna with 4 arms, sometimes seeing Krishna with 2 arms. That's also true. Yes, Bhakti Vinod is also there. Show me a Sachidananda form with 4 arms. Prabhupada writes in Krishna book that in Dwaraka, Krishna acts like Narayana or something like that. It says something to that effect. You can say it's the original Narayana. In fact, in Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, Lord Brahma is shown the spiritual world. Okay. Satashloki is taught by the Supreme Lord to Brahma. Jiva Goswami says this is actually Krishna and Dwaraka in the spiritual world. And the spiritual world that he saw is actually Dwaraka. The Dwaraka of Krishna Loka is what Brahma saw. Jiva Goswami gives evidence how that is the case. So in Dwaraka, you can say he's like some more opulent than Mahanarayana. There was one acquaintance of mine who had a lot of interest in Pancharatric scripture. At one point, he became a Sri Vaishnava, became a Ramanujapal. He told me that in the Pancharatric scriptures also it is stated that there are different forms of Narayana. The highest form of Narayana has 2 arms. Pancharatric scripture. Highest form has 2 arms. So when he saw this thing, he said, so this must be that. Okay, let's proceed. 46.
Kiridinam gadinam chakrahastam ichami tam vishtum aham tataiva teneva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabahu bhavishvamurte. O universal form, O 1,000-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your 4-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form.
In this verse, Arjuna specifies that form he wants to see. O 1,000-armed Lord, O form of the universe, this is your form at present. Internalizing that form, manifest your form with 4 hands like a divine actor. Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Now I wish to see your 4-armed form, having a crown on the head, holding in the hand firm, chakra, and other weapons. From that form alone, you manifest this universal form with 1,000 arms when you are situated in the universe. O Krishna, without doubt, I have understood that your Sachidananda form with 2 arms is the supreme truth, attractive to all jivas and eternal. Your 4-armed form of Narayana, a form for pastimes of power manifested from the 2-armed form, exists eternally. When the universe is created, the universal form arises from the 4-armed form. My curiosity has been satisfied by this supreme knowledge. See, the demigods, they're also Vaishnavas. but they're very fond of this universal form. Then there are devotees in Vaikuntha. They're very fond of the Narayan. Then we have devotees in Golagolita. They're very fond of the two arms. So they're all different forms, but they have their respective worshippers. What? Can someone read?
In the Brahma Samhita 5.39, it is stated, Ramadi Murteshu Kala Niyamena Tishtan. The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main form are those like Rama, Nasimha, Narayan, etc. There are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Assuming his temporary universal form, he is now asking to see the form of Narayan, a spiritual form. This was establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his plenary expansions, and he is a God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contamination of material world.
So this is the form that we want to see. So it is Krishna who manifests the Narayan. It is not Narayan who manifests the Krishna form. There is a fine book called Krishna Sandarbha by Jiva Goswami, in which he proves that even Bhagavatam teaches that Krishna is the original form. Extensive argumentation. Really nice. Okay, 47.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Prasannena Tavardunedam Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yoga Vijomayam Vishwamananta Madhyam Yanmet Vadanya Drishtam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency this supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence.
Requested in this way, the Lord spoke. O Arjuna, you requested to see this form. Being pleased with you by my own inconceivable powers, I have shown this brilliant form of supreme power which is situated within me, your object of love. I'm like an actor or the Vaiduri agent, capable of showing many forms and colors. There is one Prabhupada disciple who find a very interesting expression. What is the expression he used? He said, first of all, we all know this expression. Only please. One who believes in many gods. And we know this expression. Monotheism. Acceptance of a single God. Monotheist. So then, in order to explain the Vaishnava explanation of a monotheist, he used this. There's one God, but that one God simultaneously has many forms. One God, he simultaneously has many forms. Polymorphous monotheism. Yes, the proper expression, like it. But we cannot really say that Krishna's other forms are not Krishna. They are Krishna. But at the same time, there is a gradation in the revelation of his personality. That's all. Only a gradation in the revelation of his personality. This form of mine has not been previously seen by anyone else. This form of mine means this universal form of mind. Now, however, not being the main objects of mercy, the Devas and others have also seen this form. I have shown this form, which can be seen only by devotion to you, because you are my devotee. And I've shown it to the Devas and others who are also devotional, in order that there will be many witnesses to what I've shown you. The universal form that Duryodhana and others sought Hastinapur was not of this type. This has not been seen previously by anyone else. Okay, can someone read out Robert's purport? Just 1 minute. What's your name? Oh, Arjuna, being pleased with you, I have shown to you this best form included within the material universe by my power. No one except you has previously seen this unlimited, original, brilliant form. Prabhupada's purport?
Wanted to see the universal form with the Lord Krishna out of his mercy upon his devotee Arjuna showed his universal form full of effulgence and opulence. His form was glaring like the sun, and its many faces were rapidly changing. Krishna showed this form just to satisfy the desire of his friend Arjuna. This form was manifested by Krishna through his internal potency, which is inconceivable by human speculation. No one had seen this universal form of the Lord before Arjuna, but because the form was shown to Arjuna, other devotees in the heavenly planets and in other planets in outer space could also see it. They had not seen it before, but because of Arjuna, they were also able to see it. In other words, all the disciplic devotees of the Lord could see the universal form which was shown to Arjuna by the mercy of Krishna. Someone has commented that this form was shown to Duryodhana also when Krishna went to Duryodhana to negotiate for peace. Unfortunately, Duryodhana did not accept the peace offer, but at that time Krishna manifested some of his universal forms. But those forms are different from this one shown to Arjuna. It is clearly said that no one has ever seen this form before.
So this universal form is only shown to those who accepted the Lord's authority like Arjuna. Only for them. But it's a fact that Devas are always interested in seeing this universal form. Very, very fond of it. In the Madhulam, for instance, very, very fond of the universal form. So much. Okay. Okay.
न वेद यज्ञ न वेद यज्ञ ध्यायानैर् न दानैर् न च क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिरुग्रैः एवं रूपा शक्य अहं निर्लोके द्रष्टुं त्वदन्येन कुरु प्रवीरा. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mind, for neither by study the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world.
Can you read out Baladeva's
48. The Lord shows in this verse how the universal form is the general goal of life. Not by reciting the Vedas, not by considering the meaning of sacrifice by studying the Kalpasutras and Mimamsa scriptures, not by offering articles to qualified persons, not by actions of Agnihotra, sacrifice and other rituals, not by creating difficulties for the body, drying it up with intense vratas. Have any of the above person been able to see this form? Other than you, endowed with bhakti, no one has seen it. Without bhakti, none of these methods allow any person to see my form. Neither dharma satya dayo peto vidya va tapasvani tapasanvita madbhaktya petam atmanam sa samyak prapunatihi. Neither religious activities endowed with honesty and mercy, nor knowledge obtained with great penance can completely purify one's consciousness if they are bereft of loving service to me. I am visible to you because you have devotion, and to the Devatas because they have devotion. For poetic reasons, the Visarga of Sakya has been dropped without forming a Sandhi, which should have become Sakyo Aham. Repetition of a negative na in this verse is to emphasize the impossibility for others to see by other methods. It is not possible for humans of this planet, Nirloke, other than you to see it. This means, however, that it is possible for the many devas who are bhaktas to see that form since they are not on this planet.
So the devas, they can see this form. They have the eyes with which they can see this form. In fact, this is why Arjuna was given the celestial eyes, the eyes of the demigod. Because they can see, others cannot see. Humans cannot see. That is, humans and subhumans cannot see the universal form. But the devas can see, provided they are devoted to him. O hero of the Kurus, no one by study of the Vedas, by sacrifice, by charities, by rituals, or by severe austerities has seen this universal form generated from my power in this world. Only you have seen this form. Jivas who attain the status of Devatas can see and remember this celestial form, with celestial eyes and celestial minds. Those who are bound to foolish perception in this material world cannot see the celestial form. But my devotees, surpassing foolishness and celestial status, are situated in my eternal spiritual tattva. Just like you, seeing this universal form, they are not satisfied. They desire to see my eternal form, which is spiritual. So Arjuna was not very satisfied about the universal form. That is the reason why he wants to see the four-arm form. Okay, purport, I want someone to read paragraph by paragraph. Don't completely read one paragraph, and again I'll tell him to read. There are some important, very dense purports coming now.
The divine vision in this connection should be clearly understood. Who can have divine vision? Divine means godly. Unless one attains the status of divinity as a demigod, he cannot have divine vision. And what is a demigod? It is stated in the Vedic scriptures that those who are devotees of the Lord Vishnu are demigod. Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Deva. Those who are atheistic, that is, who do not believe in Vishnu, or who recognize only the impersonal part of Krishna as the supreme, cannot have the divine vision. It is not possible to decry Krishna and at the same time have the divine vision. One cannot have the divine vision without becoming divine. In other words, those who have divine vision can also see like Arjuna.
Okay. So all of this goes back to that original point. Divyam dadamite chakshu, the divine eyes. That is what is being discussed. Actually, it was discussed in detail in Vishnu Chakravarti story. And then it comes in it comes here also. So the basic idea is that general tendency amongst many commentators that in the modern world to think that this is the climax of Bhagavad Gita. The entire climax of Bhagavad Gita is Krishna showing the universal form. Now, amongst those who are pious, they will naturally think like this. You see later on, Sanjay, towards the end of Gita, he will also say, whenever I remember this wonderful form, I also feel hair stand on it. So, amongst those who are pious, for them, the universal form like the climax. But for those who are devotees of the Supreme Lord, that is not the climax at all. The climax is actually Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam. In the Ramanuja line also, they place a lot of importance for this. Of course, they don't understand Sarvadharman Parityajya verse the way we understand. They interpret it to mean that become internally detached while performing all dharmas. And you surrender unto me. This is how they translate it. But they meditate on that verse. It's one of the 3 mantras they meditate 3 times a day actually. They have Rahasya Traya. They have 3 confidential mantras. Not very confidential nowadays. But Om Namo Narayanaya. Sriman Narayana Charanam Sharanam Prapadye Srimate Narayanaya Namaha. It's a double mantra. So Om Namo Narayanaya, that's one mantra. And the double mantra. The third mantra is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Prapadye Aham Tvam Sarvapapetyo Moksheshtamima. This is their famous Rahasya Traya, the 3 great mysteries, which they actually study. Just to understand the meaning of this, there are gigantic books teach the meaning of every word of these mantras. So they meditate on it 3 times a day. So for Ekanta Bhaktas, which means the Paranishitas and Nirapekshas, naturally the climax is something. But for others, it is definitely universal form, like Ramayana for us. For pious people, what is the climax of Ramayana? The Ramchandra killing Ravana. But for the pure devotees of Ram, what is the climax? The climax is Vibhishana surrendering to Ram. Vibhishana Sharanagati. That is the climax. In fact, they explain that the whole Ramayana is meant for that one activity, just to teach you. They explain that the entire Ramayana is a textbook on Sharanagati. So their explanation completely something that you never imagined. It is completely adhyatmic, not even Ajita or Ajita. Completely adhyatmic understanding, spiritual understanding. So their understanding is very different. So what they consider divine is quite different from what others consider to be divine. Okay, please continue.
The Bhagavad Gita gives the description of the universal form. Although this description was unknown to everyone before Arjuna, now one can have some idea of the Vishwarup after this incident. Those who are actually divine can see the universal form of the Lord. But one cannot be divine without being a pure devotee of Krishna. The devotees, however, who are actually in the divine nature and who have divine vision are not very much interested in seeing the universal form of the Lord. As described in the previous verse, Arjuna desired to see the 4-handed form of Lord Krishna as Vishnu, and he was actually afraid of the universal form.
Continue.
In this verse, there are some significant words, just like Ved Yagyadhanai, which refers to studying Vedic literature and the subject matter of sacrificial regulations. Veda refers to all kinds of Vedic literature, such as the 4 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sam, and Atharva, and the 18 Puranas, the Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra. One can study these at home or anywhere else. Similarly, there are sutras, Kalpa Sutras, and Mimamsa Sutras for studying the method of sacrifice. Danai refers to charity which is offered to a suitable party, such as those who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. Similarly, pious activities refers to the Agnihotra and the prescribed duties of the different castes. And the voluntary acceptance of some bodily pains is called Shattapasya. So one can perform all these, can accept bodily penances, give charity, study the Vedas, etc. But unless he is a devotee like Arjuna, it is not possible to see that universal form. Those who are impersonalists are also imagining that they are seeing the universal form of Lord. But from Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the impersonalists are not devotees. Therefore, they are unable to see the universal form of the Lord.
Okay, so it was mentioned, the Baladev devotion has mentioned that those who were devotees amongst the devas, they can see that form. So now that further indicates that all the devas cannot see them. And Prabhupada has also pointed out that one cannot be divine without being a pure devotee of Krishna. Now, even if one desires to eventually become a pure devotee, it is understood that he has the seed of pure devotion deep inside his heart. Even if he goes in the first try, they can be accepted as aspiring pure devotees or potential pure devotees. We can say they are devotees, pure devotees in the development. So they are able to see the universal form because they have the divine vision at least as a start. Something is there, means the seed is there. It will eventually fructify. But others they cannot see. So how do they get the ability for that? They study it. In fact, they go through all this standard procedures, Veda, Yajna, Dana, different kriya, rituals, tapasya, everything they do. But they do it with devotion. If you don't do it with devotion, even then you are not able to see. Last para.
There are many persons who create incarnations. They falsely claim an ordinary human to be an incarnation, but this is all foolishness. We should follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita, otherwise there is no possibility of attaining perfect spiritual knowledge. Although Bhagavad Gita is considered the preliminary study of the science of God, still it is so perfect that it enables one to distinguish what is what. The followers of a pseudo-incarnation may say that they have also seen the transcendental incarnation of God, the universal form. But that is unacceptable because it is clearly stated here that unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, one cannot see the universal form of God. So one first of all has to become a pure devotee of Krishna. Then he can claim that he can now show the universal form of what he has seen. A devotee of Krishna cannot accept false incarnations or followers of false incarnations.
Especially this incarnation factory is very much found in India. But even now, are there kind of incarnations going on? Still going on? There used to be. Huh?
Yeah, there is.
Still there are
Not very big.
no,
Not all for wedding.
no mega incarnation.
Big incarnation. Especially not so developed.
Huh?
Towards rural area.
Towards and the people very seriously believe that they are God.
They are very.
Especially this side, Gujarat,
Even now.
not now, not currently,
Now
but
it is.
Gujarat,
Deputy.
Huh?
this way.
Even now they think there's God.
At home.
What in Maharashtra? Yes. But who believes that they are good as well?
Earlier it was earlier lot of people used to. Now it is less like awareness is there.
No, all kinds of craziness are there. Yes. Yeah, up to this time. Actually, very outrageous. Once Radha Maharaj was giving a class in Mayapur, and he mentioned that Prabhupada was asked this question by a reporter or someone. You are given so many things. This should be done, that should be done. If the whole government is given to you and you are given the powers of a dictator, with absolute power, what would you do? What is the first thing you will do? Prabhupada said, the first thing I will do is to take all these bogus gurus and put them in jail. Because they are my first obstacle. I'm trying to teach what Krishna is teaching. They're interfering. So come in between the people and Krishna. So first thing I will do is I'll put them in jail. Then I'll do all this Krishna conscious propaganda and all that. Because as long as they are there, I cannot preach. First thing to do is to put them in. I was very heavy about all this, all incarnations. That is the reason why people, intelligent people, they ridicule how you can accept some person who is going, oh, and you say it's Krishna. Yogamaya. What if Yogamaya is growing one? And that Yogamaya everybody is doing. You show some Yogamaya that nobody is doing. Complete crazy.
Now Sadguru has also become
You become God?
then before Hindi classes, Nitai were giving classes. Mayapur, one devotee asked, I am watching Krishna and my Guru, Sadguru, Padguru, my Guru, is he looking like Krishna?
How is he looking like that with all his beard and his turban?
He's asking question. He's asking question.
No, if you say that, well, actually, Madhvacharya says that when we offer obeisances unto the feet of a devotee of Lord Vishnu, or Vaishnava, actually we are offering obeisances unto Lord Vishnu, the super soul of that devotee. The famous principle. See? Yeah. So that's a very basic principle. That principle can be accepted, but not this other idea that he himself is Krishna, or that is too much.
Yeah, third one.
Yeah. This is 7.11.29 per quote. In that, Prabhupada quotes, Srila Madhvacharya gives his opinion. Harir Rasmin Sthita iti Strinam Bhartari Bhavana Shishyanam Chu Gurau Nityam Shudranam Brahmanadishu Bhrityanam Swamini Tatha Hari Bhava Udiritaha. There is this, it's explaining a certain aspect in the original text. Yapatim Haribhavena Bhajet Shri Riva Tatpara Haryatmana Hare Loke Patya Shri Riva Modate. The woman who engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planets. So now here it gives you the impression that a woman should accept her husband as God. Hari Bhavena, mentally accepting him as equal to Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then, Madhvacharya makes this remark, and then Prabhupada has paraphrased it. A woman should think of her husband as the Supreme Lord. Similarly, a disciple should think of the spiritual master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A Shudra should think of a Brahmana as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And a servant should think of his master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, literally what Madhvacharya is saying is, when it says that women should consider consider their husband to be Lord Hari, it means that they should understand that Lord Hari is present in the husband. And I am serving Lord Hari by serving my husband. Lord Hari is present in the heart of that husband. And I am pleasing him. Just like we serve the Supreme Lord, we also serve his temple. We also clean the temple. We offer obeisance to the temple before going to the temple. Like that, there are certain personalities in whom we are supposed to give special respect, for whom we should offer special respect. So Shishya, they should also consider that Lord Hari is present in our Guru's heart. Similarly, Shudra should consider that Lord Hari is present in the Brahmana's heart. Similarly, the Praja, the citizens, they should consider that Lord Hari is present in the heart of the king and so on. Similarly, servants with the master. This is the meaning of accepting him as a Supreme Lord. Not that he is the Supreme Lord. It's not the idea. He is the Supreme Lord. He's present. Krishna is present in him. And the idea is that Krishna wants us to carry out all of Krishna's instructions coming from him. In other words, we know from the scriptures, Acharya Devo Bhava, Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava. There are statements like this. You should accept your mother as God. You should accept your Acharya as God. You should accept your father as God, your teacher as God. All of this comes. What it means is, if any of them are repeating God's instructions, then let us say, my father, biological father, if he tells me, you should become a pure devotee of Krishna, you should always think of Krishna, you should become Krishna's devotee, you should worship Krishna, you should offer obeisances to Krishna. straight 9.34. Okay, so he is repeating an instruction of Krishna. Then that particular instruction I should understand Krishna himself through my father is telling me this. I cannot neglect it. I can say, oh, my father, some other times he has said so many crazy things. I will not take him seriously. That particular instruction is coming from Krishna. Is one of Krishna's channels through whom Krishna communicates to me. So therefore it is said, Matra Deva Bhava, Pitra Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava. Similarly for woman, husband. If the husband somehow or other repeats Krishna's instruction, the woman has to understand, hey, it's Krishna trying to communicate to me. If Krishna is sending me an email, I should understand, I should do it. They should understand that point. So a guru is supposed to 24/7 repeat Krishna's instruction. But whatever. But let us say that, he does repeat Krishna's instruction. He repeats Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Krishna's instruction. That should be accepted as directly coming from Lord Chaitanya, as coming from Krishna. That principle is there. But to think that therefore that guru is God is all very risky. The real problem. The real problem. Okay, let's proceed. Text 49.
Mate Rathama Chavimod Bhavo Drishtva Rupam Ghoramitugam Medam Papetavih Pritamana Punastam Tadeva Me Rupamidam Prapashya. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire.
I have shown you the destruction of all these people within my form to make you understand that all of these, even Bhishma and others who stood silent on seeing the defiling of Draupadi, will be killed by me out of anger at that. It is not your burden to kill them. So you should not be disturbed. Now see this four-handed form which you requested me to see. Can someone read Bhaktivinoda?
You should not become bewildered or confused on seeing this terrifying form. My devotees love peace and favor my Sachidananda form. Their hearts become pained on seeing this hideous form of mine. Fierce form of mine. But foolish people respect meditation on this universal form. Thus, so that you don't experience pain and bewilderment of the universal form, I give you a blessing. My sweet devotees need not relate to this universal form, but you are my friend who nourishes my pastimes. You must be an assistant in all my pastimes. Such pain is not suitable for you. Thus, giving up fear, being affectionate, see my eternal form.
In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, his worshipful grandfather and master. But Krishna said that he need not be afraid of killing his grandfather. When the sons of Dhritarashtra tried to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly of the Kurus, Bhishma and Drona were silent. For such negligence of duty, they should be killed. See, sometimes if you just don't do what you're supposed to do, then Krishna adds you to his blacklist. They didn't do anything. Positively, they did not do anything wrong. But at that moment when they are supposed to protect Draupadi, they did not protect. Therefore, Krishna. The reason why in Vedic culture they keep saying that everybody should do their duty, like the Kshatriya is supposed to protect people and so on, is if the Kshatriya does not punish and through punishment protect people from miscreants, then Krishna himself will do that punishment. Krishna's punishment is like Dheeraj's punishment. You will not simply just punish a little bit. Prabhupada in one place he says that Krishna's way of punishing is very different. He waits, he gathers all miscreants together and in one shot. He said not that one by one Krishna gathers everyone together in 18 days. First of all, he makes them punish themselves. He just makes them filled with enmity towards each other. For that also Prabhupada gave an example. Said that previously, I gave this example, no? I don't remember if I said that there was some school, in a school, there was this child doing some mischiefs, 2 boys. So the teacher, he had one of them moved to one place. The other boy also. He told the first teachers, first boy, he said, you slap the second. Then he came to the second boy, and then he said that he slapped him. He was quiet. He slapped him back. He's not angry. The boy is just your friend, and he's slapping you in front of everyone. Then he went and incited this boy. Just because I told you to slap, you slap. And then this one is slapping him. So in that way, he incited anger towards both. So Krishna easily can have Prakriti come and make each one unnecessarily angry at each other. So when Krishna becomes violent, it's all mega violence, all in one shot. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people were already killed for their unlawful action. That scene was shown to Arjuna because devotees are always peaceful and they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown. So that is the reason why Krishna wanted to show this universal form. So that purpose is accomplished. He's shown. So now Arjuna wanted to see the 4-armed form and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. Either a devotee wants to offer a respectful, worshipful feelings. This is like Shantaras, Dasyaras. Or he wants to see the 200 Krishna form so that he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's another way in the higher rasas. Next 50.
Sanjaya Vacha Ityarjunam Vasudevasya Bhakva Swakam Rupam Darsayam Asya Bhya Aswasayam Es Asacha Buddhitam Enam Vatva Punaha Somya Vapur Mahatma. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real 4-armed form and at last showed his 2-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna.
Having spoken to Arjuna there, Vasudeva showed him his personal 4-handed form again. Appearing in his pleasant form, the generous Lord again gave cheer to the fearful Arjuna. Sanjay then relates what happened next. We showed him his personal 4-handed form. Notice that expression, Swakam Rupam. You see that? Swakam, his own Rupam form. So this is one of his unlimited own forms. Krishna has unlimited own forms. Universal form is not his own form. It is actually matter. It's Prakriti. He's just showing himself from within Prakriti, how he is controlling Prakriti. That's all. Because Krishna is so magnanimous, he gave comfort to Arjuna, who was so frightened. When Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he first of all appeared as 4-armed Narayana. But when he was requested by his parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child in appearance. Similarly, Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in seeing a 4-handed form. But since Arjuna asked to see this 4-handed form, Krishna also showed him this form again, and then showed himself in his 2-handed form. The word Saumya Vapu is very significant. Where does Saumya Vapu come? Saumya Vapu. Last line. Saumya Vapu, the beautiful form. He showed his beautiful form. Saumya Vapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form. Because Krishna is the director of the universe, he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Premandina Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love can see the beautiful form of Sri Krishna. In fact, when Kaliya, in great anger, was fighting with Krishna, even he was admiring Krishna's beauty. Wow, so beautiful. Even though he wants to kill Krishna, he can't help it. So beautiful. So handsome. So beautiful. Very pleasant. Okay, next verse. 51.
Dishtveda manusham rupam tava soumyam janardana idanim asmi smatavya sachetah prakritim gatah. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardhan, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature.
So Arjuna has attained a healthy state without fear. Prakritim gataha. What type of form is this? It is a human form. But Krishna is also a form of knowledge and bliss, as will be shown by later quotations from the Shrutis and Smritis in verse 54 commentary. Among the Yadu family and among the Pandavas, he sometimes appears with 2 arms and sometimes with 4 arms. In these 2 forms, he is called human because of the human-like form and human-like activity. Human-like activities. There was another time Krishna and Shalva were fighting. Shalva produced a false Vasudeva, killed him. And Krishna cried, oh, my father is dead. Human-like behavior. So in Dwaraka, Krishna behaves like human beings. Vrindavan, Krishna behaves like human beings. Mathura behaves like human beings. Seeing the sweetest two-arm form, Arjuna said, oh Janardhan, seeing this pleasant human form of yours, I've gained steadiness of heart and the nature of a devotee. The Baladev Vidyabhushan says that the 4-arm form is Saumya, attractive, beautiful. That is also fine. But sometimes Krishna manifests his 4-arm form. But even then he behaves like a human being. Like with the Rukmini Devi and other queens. Sometimes he manifests 4 arms. In Vrindavan, he does not manifest his 4 arms in his relationship with the gopis. But in Dwaraka, he does. Okay, next verse. Purport. I want to read out the purport.
Here the word Manusham Rupam clearly indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who deride Krishna as if were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how it is possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the 4-handed Narayana form? So it is very clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and who misguides the reader by claiming that it is a impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna has actually shown his universal form and his 4-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. The original verses of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators.
So even if Krishna's 400 Narayan form is accepted as a pleasant form, even then, originally the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that of Krishna. It was one of my great discoveries. I had read Bhagavad Gita even before reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita explanation. But usually people who read Bhagavad Gita, they come to the conclusion that the universal form is the most important form. The chapter is also called Vishwarupa Adhyaya.
portrayed like that only.
And also, you see the wording, the name of the chapter is Vishwarupa chapter, the chapter on the universal form. But in the chapter on the universal form, Prabhupada comes to the conclusion that actually the original form is not the universal form, it's not the most important form given. In fact, the four-handed Narayan form is more important than the universal form, and more important than that is the original two-handed form. So very astonishing. Then when I looked at the verses also, it's there. It's directly matching the verses. Then I thought, then what happened to all these people, all these great Sanskrit scholars and Sanskrit, they're translating. Everybody misses such a simple point. It's right there. There, you can see the word meaning is there. Later you'll see. It's very, very big surprise. How everybody can be so inattentive like that. Next 52.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Sudurdasham Idam Rupam Drishtavanasya Yanmama Devapyasya Rupasya Nityam Darshana Kamshinaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear." My friend Arjuna, having faith in my form with 1,000 heads, which I showed and praised as being unavailable to anyone but him, should also not slacken his love for me as Krishna with a human form. With that thought in mind, the Lord teaches that this human form is the highest goal. This form with 1,000 heads is certainly difficult to see, but my form as Krishna is even more difficult to see. This is understood from Krishna's previous words, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. I am not visible to all people. How do I prove to you that this form that you have been seeing for such a long time is so rare? It is a form which even the devatas long to see. This is also well known from scripture, such as the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, where the devatas praise the Lord in the womb of Devaki.
Now Krishna is talking of the form that is currently revealing. You can contrast this text 52 with text 47 and 48, especially 48, 47 and 48. 47 and 48 talk about the glory of the universal form. That's very, very clear. Very clear. No dispute about it. And text 52 uses certain adjectives which make it even more distinct. Sudur Darsham, very difficult to see. In the 48th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded revealing his universal form and informed Arjuna that this form is not possible to be seen by so many pious activities, sacrifices, etc. Now here the word Sudur Darsham is used, indicating that Krishna's two-handed form is still more confidential. Yes, pause with that. And I want someone to read out Bhaktivinoda.
Brahman, Shiva are eager to see the form. If you say that we can even see human form, how is it eager to see? I speak the truth about this. Please listen. There are three types of perception in people who see my Satchid Anand form of Krishna: knowledge perception, ignorant perception, and logical perception. 1. By foolish, ignorant perception, people accept my eternal Swarupa as temporary and as taking shelter of material qualities. They cannot understand the supreme position of my Swarupa. 2. By logical celestial perception, those who think they have knowledge and think that impersonal Brahman, a state opposite to the universe, think that this form takes shelter of material qualities, or by celestial perception, devatas, accepting that this perception is temporary, think that the universal form which spreads throughout the universe is the eternal tattva. We conclude that my human form is just some means for worship. But by knowledgeable perception, the devotees endowed with spiritual eyes attain direct realization of me as a human form, which is the abode of Satchit Anand. This direct vision is rare even for devatas. Among the devatas, Brahma and Shiva are my devotees. Thus they desire to see this form. Since you have taken shelter of pure Sakhya Bhakti by my mercy, you, having seen the universal form, can know the superiority of my eternal form.
Same Krishna. Three persons are looking at him. One person is looking from the gross perspective. He can only see gross matter. Okay. Adhibhautik. That's all he can see. So he will think Krishna is also, because all kinds, like for instance, Krishna once, when he went to meet the Pandavas when they were in exile, something happened and his fingers got cut with blood. Got cut and blood was coming. Okay. So then, imagine something like that happens right in front of you. You will immediately think, also Krishna's body is also like my body. Yeah, I have blood, veins, everything. Ishopanishad says he has no veins. So what is that? I don't know. But it is reality. So this is gross material vision. Then there is celestial vision, which the demigods have. And they are able to see subtle matter. Okay. And those who are devoted amongst them, they will be able to see the universal. Then you have those who have spiritual perception. The third category, they are able to see Krishna correctly. Second, they cannot see correctly. Third, definitely see some, whatever Krishna wants him to see, only he sees. Very, very different. Should not be fooled by that. In fact, in one place, Madhvacharya, he says that when you see in scripture, for instance, sometimes there are discussions like this during the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Now we come across descriptions that Krishna's body was pierced by arrows and blood was coming out of it. But we know from Shastra that Krishna's body is Sachidananda. So if you were to stand in front of Krishna and see that blood is coming, you should disbelieve your perception. That is called Shastra Chakshu. Shastra Chakshu means that even though it is happening in front of your eyes, you say this is wrong, false, not reality. Reality is coming from Shastra. Shastra is saying that other thing. Shastra is saying that Lord Vishnu's form is Sachidananda. Look at this, is Vishnu Tattva, his body is Sachidananda. That is called Shastra Chakshu. Much faith we should have. Okay, I'll get back to this. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little tinge of devotional service to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see. That has already been explained. Still, beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna with two hands is still more difficult to see, even for demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. They desire to see him. Look at the verse. Nityam darshana kankshinaha, eternally aspiring to see. They only aspire to see. They go on aspiring to see. They don't see. It's not that they're constantly seeing. They aspire to see, that's all. Because Krishna chooses when to show, when not to show. They desire to see him. And we have evidence in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna. And they offered nice prayers to the Lord, although he was not at that time visible to them. Because they wanted to see him. They waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, thinking him an ordinary person, and may offer respect not to him, but to the impersonal something within him. But these are all nonsensical postures. Krishna in his two-armed form is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Can someone read out the next paragraph?
In Bhagavad Gita 9.11, it is also confirmed, Avajananti Mamudha Manasim Tanumashritam. He is not visible to the foolish persons who deride him. Krishna's body, as confirmed by Brahma Samhita and confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, is completely spiritual and full of bliss and eternality. His body is never like a material body. But for some who make a study of Krishna by reading Bhagavad Gita or similar Vedic scriptures, Krishna is a problem. For one, using a material process, Krishna is considered to be a great historical personality and very learned philosopher. But he is an ordinary man, and even though he was so powerful, he had to accept a material body. Ultimately, they think that the absolute truth is impersonal. Therefore, they think that from his impersonal feature, he assumed a personal feature attached to material nature. This is a materialistic calculation of the Supreme Lord. Another calculation is speculative. Those who are in search of knowledge also speculate on Krishna and consider him to be less important than the universal form of the Supreme. Thus, some think that the universal form of Krishna, which was manifested to Arjuna, is more important than his personal form. According to them, the personal form of the Supreme is something imaginary. They believe that in the ultimate issue, the absolute truth is not a person, but the transcendental process is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. To hear about Krishna from authority, that is the actual Vedic process, and those who are actually in the Vedic line hear about Krishna from authority, and by repeated hearing about him, Krishna becomes dear. As we have several times discussed, Krishna is covered by Yogamaya potency. He is not to be seen or revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by one to whom he reveals himself can he be seen. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. For one who is a surrendered soul, the absolute truth can actually be understood. A transcendentalist, by continuous Krishna consciousness and by devotional service to Krishna, can have his spiritual eyes opened and can see Krishna by revelation. Such a revelation is not possible even for the demigods. Therefore, it is difficult even for the demigods to understand Krishna. And the advanced demigods are always in hope of seeing Krishna in his 200 form. The conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for anyone and everyone, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shyam Sundara.
So the original form, Swayam Rupa, the original form of Krishna, is even more difficult to be accessed. So if you were to say that the universal form itself is difficult to be accessed, difficult to be seen, then the original form is even more difficult to be seen. Right there in the Sanskrit, Guru Darsham, Idam Rupa, this form. You cannot interpret this to mean this form is also the universal form. In that case, and why would Krishna say that now? Why didn't he prepone this word? Why after coming to his own form he has to say this? Text 53.
Sakya evam vido drashtum drashtavanasi mam yatha. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am.
This can be contrasted with text 48 also. Text 48, O best of the Guru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mind. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world. I'll read out Shri Baladev. This form is rare to see. I, your friend with 4 arms, the son of Devaki, cannot be seen by anyone devoid of bhakti. by any method, whatever, even by studying the Vedas, by charities, by austerities, or by worship, in the way that you are seeing me. Not through the Vedas, not through austerities, not through charities, not through performance of sacrifices. Is it possible to see that eternal human form that you saw through Vijnana, through spiritual realization? Very, very different to see Krishna through spiritual realization. Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudeva in a four-handed form. Then he transformed himself into the two-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists, who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualifications, Krishna is not possible to understand. Nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make that visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. Prabhupada's disciples point out that in Vrindavan, after Krishna Balram temple was established, some great Vedic scholars came to meet Prabhupada. Prabhupada asked them, who is Krishna? They became very baffled by the question. Who is Krishna? It's a very complex, deep subject. It's a very complicated, very, very difficult, very complicated subject. So then Prabhupada called one small boy who was studying in the Gurukul. And in Prabhupada's room, there's a table. No? So in the table, there's also a sweet, it's like a glass container with sweet. So Prabhupada opened that right in front of the boy. And he asked him, can you please tell me who is Krishna? And the boy was looking at that sweet also, looking at Prabhupada. And then he said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada said, very good, then he gave me sweet. And told him, even this boy knows Krishna is the Supreme Personality, you don't know. So then they said, oh Swamiji, he does not know how Krishna is Supreme Personality of God. Then Prabhupada said, even Krishna doesn't know how Krishna is Supreme Personality of God. He is infinite. The more he thinks, the more he is expanding. Bhagavatam itself it says. But that much also you don't know. Simply, you people are all simply talking big things and all great Vedic scholars, this, that, Sanskrit, you studied 20 years, 30 years, or all these things. Haven't come to the conclusion. Even this boy, even he knows this. But Prabhupada was always focused on it. Study all the Vedic scriptures, everything. But unless you are blessed by Krishna's devotees, you will not be able to understand simple form. Like here, this cannot be interpreted to mean universal form. Because already he has said that. Why 2 times Krishna has to say the same thing? Now for that, if you say no, repetition is needed for emphasis, then for that there's a long beating coming now. Long commentary. You'll get to see that. Okay, text 54.
भक्त्या त्वन्य शक्य अहम् एवं विधोर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding.
Okay, here, the Lord clarifies the fact that is so important. Let me display it here. Here, the Lord clarifies the fact that only the topmost devotee attains the cherished vision of the Lord. The topmost devotee means Ekanti Bhakta. Is that the exact expression? Wait, let me trace it out. What is that verse number? Current Vaishnava. Before, correct? Parabhaktaika drishyata. Only the transcendental devotees can see. Those who are not transcendental will not be able to see. It is possible to know me as I am, the four-armed son of Devaki, by the Vedas, by charity, by austerity, and by worship. If you also have exclusive devotion, ekanta bhakti to me, only by this bhakti is it possible to see me. They become truly connected with me. This word here, praveshtum. Praveshtum means to enter into. Tattvena praveshtum. To look at the previous words, gyatum, to know, drashtum, to see, tattvena praveshtum, to in fact, to enter into. So he's talking of himself. Only when you engage in ananyaya bhaktya, notice that expression. Bhaktya, by devotion service to, but ananyaya, without being mixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge. Ananyaya comes from the word anya. Anya means other. Ananya means with nothing else. That's what it means. So if you engage in bhakti and you don't do anything else, like that kind of bhakti, then gyatum, you become qualified to know, drashtum, to see. This word tattvena means in fact, so which means it should be connected to gyatum and drashtum and praveshtum, which means you get to know me actually, you get to see me actually, praveshtum, you get to enter into me. But to enter into me means what? Merge. No, it doesn't mean to merge. It means to be truly connected with me. If one says, I enter the town, it is understood that one becomes intimately connected with the town. It does not mean that I merge into the town. So like that. One can know me by exclusive devotion along with these processes under certain conditions. Previously, he stated through the Vedas, through austerities, through this, I'm looking at text 53. Not by studying the Vedas, not by undergoing penance and charity. You cannot see me like this. Does it mean that you cannot absolutely see? No, and there is the word tu, but in text 54. But with Ananya Bhakti, through all of these activities, you can see me. That is the idea. So that means if you normally study the Vedas, you will not be able to understand. But if you study the Vedas under particular conditions, then you can see. So in fact, every item mentioned in text 53, it can show you Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, under certain conditions. You do certain types of Vedic study, certain types of penances, certain types of charity, certain types of worship, then you can see. One can know me by exclusive devotion along with these processes under certain conditions. Study of the Vedas should then mean studying the Gopala Tapani Upanishad, part of the Vedas, which describes Krishna directly. Is it only this? Only Gopala Tapani. Tatra Vedaha Gopala Upanishad. Yes. So I have, under Upanishad category, I already brought in Gopala Tapani Upanishad. I should keep it. Austerity should then mean fasting on my appearance day and Ekadashi as well as other days. Actually, Madhvacharya has said that if we fast on Janmashtami in devotion, actually, one who fasts on Janmashtami gets the result of 1 crore Ekadashis. 1 crore is already 1 lakh is 100,000. So 1 crore is 100 lakh, 100,000. So that means it's what? 10 million. 10 million. 10 million is one. 10 million Ekadashi result one gets by doing Janmashtami fasting. As well as other days. Charity should mean giving one's own possessions as gifts to my devotees. So here, this charity is gives to Krishna's devotees. Ijya, worship, should mean worship of my deity forms. The Shruti also confirms this. Yasya deve parabhanti. Only by devotion to Guru, similar to devotion to the Lord, are the imports of the scriptures revealed. The word tu, but at the beginning of this verse indicates a different subject matter. This indicates that this form, which is difficult to see, mentioned in verse 52 to 54, is not the 1,000-headed form, because the previous description in verse 50 and 51, specifically concerning the Lord's human-like four-arm form, is continuous with the topic and separate from the topic of the 1,000-headed form. Otherwise, there would be the fault of redundant statement in verse 53 of what was stated in verse 48 concerning the 1,000-headed form. If you had to say that verse 53 was also concerning the 1,000-headed form. So that there's no need for Krishna's unnecessary repetition. To say that the 1,000-headed form is superior to the 4-handed form because Arjuna needed to attain celestial eyes to see that form is foolish talk. The 1,000-headed form is dependent upon the 4-handed form. This is the truth as stated in the Brahma Samhita. Yah karanarnava jave bhajatisma yoga nidram ananta jagadanta saroma pupa adhara shaktim avalambya param swamurtim govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who lies down in the causal ocean in his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, with all the universes generating from the force of hair on his transcendental body, and who accepts the mystic slumber of eternity. Let me have a look at. Yeah. Okay. Right. It should be understood that the human form of Krishna, full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, known as the conclusion of the Vedas, is the source of all other forms of God. Sachidananda Rupaya, Krishnaya Krishna Karine, Mo Vedanta Vedyaya, Gurave Buddhi Sakshine. Offer my respects to the form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, to Krishna, who never tires, who is to be known by the Vedanta, who is the Guru and witness of intelligence. Krishna Vai Paravam Daivatam. Krishna is indeed the supreme form of God. Eko Vashi Sarvaga Krishna Idya Eko Pisan Bahuda Yoga Bhatsi. One Krishna is situated in one place, but pervades everywhere. He is worthy of worship. He is one who appears as many forms. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadarada Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam. Govinda, Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the primal cause, and he is the very form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. See, Brahma Samhita is important because Madhvacharya has very thoroughly given evidence that within the universe, the greatest Vaishnava is Brahma. Brahma is the greatest Vaishnava inside the universe. Okay. So then Brahma's understanding of the Supreme Lord would be the supreme understanding also. Because the dearer you are to Krishna, the more he would have revealed himself to you. So in Brahma Samhita, when Brahma comes up with Govinda Stuti, it cannot be simply dismissed as okay, some sentiment. Because it is Brahma's direct revelation. Yadorvamsham narashrutva sarva papa amuchyate yatravapiranam krishnakhyam param brahman narakriti. Man, hearing about the dynasty of Yadu in which the Param Brahma in human form called Krishna has appeared, attains liberation. Ete chamshat kalabumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All these incarnations are parts of the Lord. Krishna, however, is the original Bhagavan. Krishna himself says this in the Gita as well. Mattah parataram nanyat. There is no one superior to me. Ham adarhi devanam. I am the source of all the devas. Then also says this. Param Brahma Param Dhama. You are the supreme Brahman, the supreme abode. When Krishna changed into the 1,000-headed form, Arjuna's vision also became suitably transformed. Arjuna's vision, which could see the human form of Krishna, the ocean of beauty and charm, was not suitable to see the 1,000-headed form. Thus, it should be understood that Arjuna's eyes were endowed with powers to see Krishna in that 1,000-headed form. By fallacious reasoning, by false reasoning, one should not accept the explanation that the form of Krishna is inferior to the universal form. Nor should one think that Arjuna had materialized like other men, therefore needed spiritual eyes to see the universal form. There are many references in the Mahabharata and other scriptures stating that Arjuna was the avatar of the Lord called Nara, Narayan Rishi. No? So Mahabharata, many places it comes that the sages keep telling that Arjuna and Krishna, they are Narayan, they are Narayan. The Swanishtha devotee can see that thousand-headed form by knowledge arising from prescribed duties, karma yoga, but cannot see the human form, Krishna. This is seen only by exclusive bhakti. So unless one becomes a Parinishita or an Ayurveda, one cannot see the spiritual forms of the Lord. That is why the verse states that this form is Sudur Darsham, very difficult to see. Okay. Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. See, there are different expressions Prabhupada uses: unalloyed, undivided, pure, transcendental. And they are all coming from the original Sanskrit actually. In fact, in Sanskrit we have certain expressions which we should remember because they're useful in future studies also. Number of expressions. You have expressions like Antarbhakti. Akinchana Bhakti. Jati Bhakti, Bhagavad Akinchana. Akinchana. Sometimes Kevala simply means exclusive. Because sometimes the word Kevala simply means exclusive engagement in devotional service, which means they avoid adharma, they avoid material dharma, they avoid jnana also. But internally they may have other desires. They may have turn on the video. Okay. Okay, we'll take a photo and send it to you. Okay.
Ahetuka sin.
Huh? Sorry?
Ahetuki.
Ahaituki. Ahaituki. That's another. Ahaituki bhakti. These expressions are very, very important. In English, Prabhupada uses unmotivated, pure, uncontaminated, like here, undivided, unalloyed. When Prabhupada reached Boston, he saw somewhere the word unalloyed. Unalloyed, somewhere. Unalloyed stew. Unalloyed stew. And then Prabhupada, later on he remarked that at that time it came decided unalloyed. Giriraj Maharaj once explained this expression, unalloyed, very nicely. He said, what is an alloy? Alloy is a combination of two metals, that's a fact. But you have a more valuable metal which is mixed with the less valuable metal. Both are metals, both are molten, both are mixed together. Like gold is more valuable, iron is less valuable. So when you make alloyed gold, it means that gold which is superior is now mixed with something which is inferior. So unalloyed indicates that no, gold is gold, nothing lower than gold. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna, or how he came from parents in a four-handed form and at once changed himself into a two-handed form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. So this is a reference to what Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu has said. Under certain conditions, then through the Vedas, through austerities, and so on, one can come to the point of realizing Swayam Bhagavan. So, but for that, you need to be very experienced. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. But if I am not very experienced, then I will not be able to realize the Swayam Bhagavan form. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new moon and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity, because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. So if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed, and if one worships as prescribed in the temples in India, there is always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential, and this is confirmed in the Vedic literature. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word "tu" is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. The personal forms of Krishna, the two-handed form and the four-handed, are described as Sudurdarshan, very difficult to see. So here he brings Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu's explanation also. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-handed form of Narayana and the two-handed form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The word Tvadanyena na drishta purvam, text 47, state that before Arjuna, no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggest that amongst the devotees, there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Arjuna, by Krishna, at the request of Arjuna, so that in the future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. The word na, used repeatedly in the previous verse, indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credentials as an academic education in Vedic literature. So one should not be proud thinking, I know Sanskrit and I can read the books directly, and I can understand things, so on. One must take to the devotional service of Krishna. Only then can one attempt to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayana, and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-handed forms and other forms mentioned in the Vedic literature are all emanations of the original two-handed Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from these forms, what to speak of the impersonal conception. As far as the four-handed forms of Krishna are concerned, it is stated clearly that even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean, from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord. And then the same Brahma Samhita quote. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation. He is the original Supreme Personality as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. And then he quotes from the same Gopalakapani. Quotations are identical. Similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of all kinds of incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. It is Shamshit of Krishnastu Bhagavan. Also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, same set of quotations. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in its original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing. Rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who was a constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activity. These are the Swanishtas. Swanishtas are persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities. But to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two-handed form of Krishna is the most real. Actually, it's a fact that the Krishna form has always been most attractive to pure devotees of all the Vishnu Tattva forms. Everybody Prabhupada says, for Bhagavatam, there are commentaries from all the four Vaishnava lines. Ramayana, you don't have commentaries from all the Vaishnava lines. Vishnu Purana, you don't have commentaries from all the Vaishnava lines. But Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said, everybody is attracted to Vishnu. All the things are attracted. Okay, we'll stop with that. Half an hour break, proper half an hour break. 12:50. Thank you.